Good evening, friends, and welcome back to the Career Shifts podcast. This is the journey to the future. 50 episodes, Golden Jubilee. Today's episode marks a milestone, not one, but two. The first one, more than being a number, it's a moment to pause, a moment to reflect, a moment to ask, what has this journey really meant? Because I would never have reached this far without my incredibly generous, magnanimous guests who showed up not for me, not for brand, but for the cause of giving back to the ones who are confused, to the ones who are worried, to the ones who feel stuck, and to the ones who are curious about how the future might look. And to you, the listeners, for showing up week after week, writing in when an episode touched you, for checking in when I went silent, for reminding me that this isn't just a podcast, but it's a bridge. This is a perfect milestone, but it isn't polished, but it is real. And it's yours as much as it is mine. These 50 episodes have been about quiet shifts, the kind that don't make headlines but change lives. They've been about people standing at the edge of a decision, a doubt, a desire, and a desire for more and a lot more. They've been a voice. They've been about voice who were told you're peaked. Voice for those in their 40s or 50s who slowly began to feel invisible. Voice for those carrying decades of wisdom, quietly made to feel they no longer matter. This golden jubilee belongs to them because 50 doesn't mean fading out. It means beginning again, not to retirement, but to reinvention, not to silence, but to possibility, not into plan B, but into power. And that's why today's episode is very special because I couldn't think of better than these three voices that are going to hold the space with me. Shanthi, Naresh, and I'm going to welcome her into the room as we speak. Shanthi, are we able to see you as yet? No, I think we will get to see her in a bit. Sushma, Rajagopalan, and Sudha, Srinivasan. Together, they've co-founded 2ndCareers.com exactly a year ago on this date. And to mark this wonderful episode, I'm going to wish them all a happy anniversary and
Thank you.
also share that this conversation isn't about just second careers. It's about reinvention, which is what this podcast has always been about. It also is about what must shift and not just about in professionals, but also employers, and why the future won't belong to the youngest or the fastest alone, but also to those who know how to begin with grace and grit. So, yes, this is episode 50, but it may also be episode number one of a new story, of a new age, which doesn't have an expiry, where a title doesn't define you, and where the second act might just be your finest. Be part of this golden jubilee. Be part of this bridge. 50 episodes down, the river just flows on. Welcome, all of you, to the show. How are you all doing?
Fantastic.
Great. Gopal, can you hear me?
Yes, perfect, loud and clear.
Okay. Wonderful. I can see you too.
Wonderful.
And hear you
Yes.
also.
Great. So, thank you and congratulations to you all as much as it is to me and as much as it is to all the guests who are coming in and watching this live on the respective platforms. Just a sense check. I know this has happened in the past where I went live thinking that I went live, but not really. So I would love to hear from people who are watching, listening here on this on LinkedIn or YouTube, just to say yes, they can see us, hear us all fine, and we'll continue the conversation as it progresses. Sushma, Shanthi, Sudha, Uh, this journey began for me 18 months ago, and I can't believe this is 50th episode. And
Congratulations.
thank you so much. And there we have Ashok sharing congratulations to us. And congratulations to all of you as well. How does it feel to be a year old in the second careers?
It's been one of the
Exhilarating,
most
exhilarating that
Gopal, thank you so much. It's wonderful to be a year old, and it's such a nice coincidence that you are celebrating your 50th podcast. So, we're very privileged to be part of your Career Shifts podcast.
Thank
It's
you.
such a wonderful stage, and I love the tagline "Reinvention has no age." That's the dream with which we have started Second Careers.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think when I started, and I wrote about that this morning, where a lot of people currently are going through various emotions and variety of emotions, and it doesn't really have an age. And I know we have spoken about this in the past when we did our first conversation as well, where we may think that second careers is more about people who are in their mid 40s, early 50s. But today, I think it could also be for people who are in their 30s, and it's all about how do they figure out a way to reinvent themselves, which has been an integral theme of all of these conversations. We'll get to a lot about what you all do at Second Careers and the journey, all of that. But if we can just do a quick round of introduction for people who may not know as much about all of you and also about Second Careers, that would be fantastic. So if whoever wants to go first, Sushma, Sudha, or Shanthi, would love to hear your introductions as well.
I'll go last.
Okay, that's a good one. Shanti, do you want to go first?
Sure, I can, Gopal. I've had a very linear career right until Second Careers. I've been an HR professional for 40 years. Worked across industry and consulting. Did 16 years outside the country, across Singapore and in the US. But I'd like to say that the most transformative have been the last 17 odd years since the time I returned from the US to Bangalore. 15 of those I spent with Mercer in the consulting world. And my last role was as the partner and the business head for the HR consulting business for Mercer. I was retiring from Mercer in 2023. I still continue to be an advisor to them, but the idea of Second Careers was born a few months before retirement, because at Mercer we talked so much about future of work. It just gave me the right platform to work on a future of work model with Second Careers. So that's about me, Gopal.
Wonderful. Sushma?
I
Or,
I
yeah,
had
Sudha,
the
go ahead.
most since you said you would go last, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
I had the most beaten path career in my first career. Engineering, B school, did everything that everyone else does. And then I turned 40, which was my moment of reflection on what should I do with the rest of my life. Felt like the midpoint of my professional career when I turned 40. And that led me to the social sector. For the last 8 years, have been an ecosystem builder in the nonprofit space, currently working in healthcare, in addition to, of course, being part of this amazing Second Careers journey, wanting to facilitate a similar transition for anyone that's looking for purpose beyond just getting a paycheck.
Wonderful. Sushma, over to you.
And here's how I would characterize my career. I have been somebody who hasn't let the world define what I can or I cannot do. When or when not, I should try something. Okay. So I started my career in HR. From HR, I went into sales. From sales, I went into entrepreneurship. From entrepreneurship, I went on to becoming a corporate CEO. And from there, today, I am a venture capitalist for the last 5 years. and a very proud co-founder of Second Careers. So you could say that I am somebody who has experimented with her career, and I will continue to do so.
Lovely. And that's quite a bit of a journey for all of you. I think, given variety of experiences that you've had, not something that a lot of people today are able to see that often. And I think maybe that's a very unique reason why you're all together. Um, Shanthi and Sushma are school friends, if I'm not wrong. Is that correct?
College.
Yeah,
College
40
friends.
years. Yeah, yes.
Yeah, so that's incredible. But as you rightly pointed out, Sushma, future of work is very already here. As much as we keep talking about future of work as in future tense, it's not really. It is right here. It is evolving. It is for us to build. We keep talking about work changing as well. Like if you think about the way careers were, let's say in the 70s, 80s, it was all about getting government jobs, perhaps. Then it was about getting private employment and stay on for forever, perhaps, like my dad did for 42 years in one of the automobile companies. My mom did in Central Railways for 37 years. But today it's more about finding purpose, finding meaning in different organizations, but it's still more about finding a role. But that's changing as much as we see with generational shifts as we are seeing as well. So here's my question to you, Sushma. One, given your past experience and what you're trying to build at Second Careers, what's been the view and what's been the trend? Is the future of work more about finding roles for people, or is it more about finding the perfect fit in terms of the gigs? It could be gig, or it could be an opportunity, or it could be a project as well. So where do you see the world evolving towards?
See, Gopal, something you said earlier struck a chord in me, which I will talk about. You said that people's careers choices were sort of very defined and
Yeah.
limited. And
Yeah.
definitely at the time when we were growing up, right, we had very defined paths. You could be a doctor, that was at a very high level of ambition. At the low end of the totem pole, which gave you stability, was either a bank officer or even a bank clerical position, okay, a probationary officer's exam, or
Yeah.
UPMs, the public sector commissioned jobs. And I have been through all of it, right? I've been through all of it. But somehow, right from a very early stage, I felt that I can buck all the trends and do whatever I wanted to do. I think in today's environment, where jobs are changing, okay, the future of work that you talked about is less about the jobs, much more about what you have to offer and how you can be resilient to mold yourself, to be able to contribute to what corporations, startups, nonprofits, to even paint employers with one brush is a cardinal error, right? You need to be able to say, well, we've all been fortunate to have a compendium of knowledge through our education and a compendium of experience through what we have done in life. But if you think that is the summa bonum of your existence, then you've lost your game. You need to be able to say, armed with what I have learned, armed with what I have experienced, what do I need to do to make myself relevant?
Yeah.
And relevant is not simply knowledge. Relevant is how do you culturally adapt? How do you adapt to working in a team where somebody might be older than you, somebody might be younger than you, somebody is a generalist, somebody is a specialist, somebody is a technologist, somebody is from the business field? I think it's the compendium of all of this that's going to make you a key component of what the future of work demands.
Sure. Beautifully said. And relevance itself couldn't have been better defined than what you just shared. So thank you for that. So then my question to you is, you made a very interesting point about, at 40 you realized that you had to do something else. You found a new passion for yourself. You found a role which allowed you to pursue your passion. But if you really look at the word called choice, you know, uh, choices are rare in times like these, and it's getting more and more difficult, right? People are pushed into second careers, perhaps, in the way things are going right now. Reading a lot of news articles or op-eds about how AI is disrupting the whole workforce. And are we reinventing ourselves enough is a question that we keep asking in most of the forums. What is your view, and what have you seen and observed in the way people have behaved in the last 5 to 8 years? Um, and is that really a 45 plus narrative that we are trying to build, or is there something that you can see even below that?
Right. So I'd like to push back a little bit on the notion that choice has shrunk. If anything, it
Hmm.
has exploded. Right.
Hmm.
Back to the earlier conversation you were having with Sushma, the continuum of change that you described from our previous generations to now is that you
Yeah.
have the ability to hyper personalize your career path. Right. Uh,
Yes.
and that basically means you have a lot more choice today than you have ever had historically.
Hmm.
You do not need a bachelor's or a master's degree to enter a new line. You could get skilled. You could learn a new skill by taking up short term courses. You could literally learn anything under the sun just using YouTube, leave alone Coursera and the bunch of MOOCs that are out there,
Yeah.
which will actually also certify you in addition to teaching you something. The choice may have shrunk in sticking to a chosen line, something you chose maybe 20 years ago because that domain is getting disrupted, right? But
Hmm.
as an individual, the various ways in which you could branch out has only increased. Now, back to the 45 plus uh, age group. The challenge is the difficulty in reinventing yourself, like with most businesses, which fail to recognize sunk cost as sunk cost. We fail to
Hmm.
recognize our career choices from 20 years ago as a sunk cost, let go of something we've held on dearly to, right? Made a big part of our identity. And to say,
Yeah.
I'm no longer uh, from a sector like say fossil fuels or whatever, to say I have to now shift into green energy feels like, is that for me or is that for young people? So of course the challenge is much higher for people that have
Hmm.
uh, decades of experience in a certain line. Younger people are doing that on a regular basis. They're setting out of college, graduating in a particular field and taking up jobs in a completely different field. And they will do that 20 times in their lifetime. We have to, of course, take a serious hard look, dissociate our identity from our work, and open ourselves up to the infinite possibilities that are out there.
Well said. Well said.
Yeah.
And I think it's also to do with perhaps physiologically, you become a little harder harder to flex yourself. And I think you need to figure out a way to maybe do some physical and mental yoga both to kind of flex yourselves. Shanti, the question is to you because you've spent a lot of time building strategies for organizations from an HR perspective. Organizations, as much as we talk about people, are also going through a rapid disruption in many ways. What used to be a strong talent strategy, what used to be a strong hiring strategy, today looks very different. Now, there could be some inherent biases that they may be going through as well with regards to specific generation of people, which typically you may see that, you keep hearing these talks of 60s or 40 is the new 60 on one hand, or there is also talk about Gen Zs being certain ways. Of spending so long in the industry from an HR perspective, what do you see as the trend? That's question one. And second is, how do we kind of, come out of this entire situation of how do organizations do better in being able to recognize that they need to change the talent strategy as well?
I think I wouldn't put all organizations in the same bucket, Gopal. I think there are organizations that, every organization has a bias. As individuals, we all carry a bias. It's about recognizing what's coming in the way of us being effective as people, as organizations, that actually opens the doors for evaluating your talent strategy and pivoting quickly and seeing what innovations can be brought in. So to that end, our journey so far in the last 1 year has told us that there are organizations that are actually looking at different talent pools very differently from the way they looked at it a few years ago. Whether it is women, whether it is people with disabilities, whether it is people of different generations, I think there are certain organizations that have realized that each group brings a unique talent and there is a role to play for it. We need to adapt the way we hire these people. So a recent example, and I read an article which was great, it was music to my ears, was that a lot of consulting firms are actually looking to tap into the seniors pool because they do want the experience of being able to navigate government relationships. They want the experience of having worked in a deep domain. Even if the organization is primarily into technology, they actually want the support of somebody with a deep domain expertise, say in oil and gas or in BFSI. And where can they get it? They want these people on or such talent on contracts rather than full-time employment. And the seniors pool is a great way to get to satisfy that need. So some companies have actually started opening their doors to recognizing their biases, putting them aside, and opening their doors to senior talent. The same thing, interestingly, is also happening. Recently DEI has been a controversial word. Some organizations have gone back and forth on DEI. But amidst all of this, I've had a few companies say, I actually want to start the program for women who want to come back to work. So when there is realization that each talent pool has something unique to offer, and companies that are that are learning to use those talent pools, I think are beginning to see the benefits and then opening up more doors and getting away from their usual biases. And I hope that other companies will learn from these experiences, and I'm reasonably confident that it'll catch up.
Sure. Sudha, you wanted to add anything on this? Okay, correct. Let's talk about 2ndCareers. And second careers as a word itself gives a connotation that you're talking about careers post retirement. Define 2ndCareers from your lens, and also perhaps help us understand what does 2ndCareers.com offer for people. And this could be a question to Sushma.
So 2ndCareers is a euphemism, okay? And to think that it implies post-retirement is highly incorrect. Okay. What is retirement? To me, retirement is a state of mind. Okay. There are people
Yeah.
who are 40 who are retired. There are
Yeah.
people who are 30 who are retired. Okay. Whereas there are people and there are living legends who are into their 80s and 90s who still have extraordinarily active lives. So to me, second career is a clear euphemism for gently telling people, hey, I have so much more to offer. Okay? Do not look at me with a singular lens, right?
Yeah.
Don't typecast me. There are so many things I have learned. Here's somebody who started her career in HR, made a spectacular career for herself in sales,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, it comes down to how are you relating to people? How do you understand what a human being needs, which in sales parlance is understanding customer needs? Okay. Taking that and going in and saying, what should a company do strategically? Because I was a chief strategy officer as well. And then saying, if I were to run my own company, what would I do? And then to say, hey, if I'm a venture capitalist, what kind of companies do I want to bet on? Right? I don't think I could have sat back, 40 years ago and said, this is exactly how I'm going to progress. And that's the next myth. A second career is not to have like a preordained career path. It is the ability to define your career path. Right? I'm sorry, I'm getting extremely passionate about this,
No,
but it's
absolutely.
the essence of second careers, Gopal.
Sure. Sure. I want to take a pivot into the platform secondcareers.com. And Sudha, that question comes to you. When someone listens to secondcareers.com, what is the message that you have for them? What do they see when they come to the platform? And I want to, of course, ask another question as to why this idea came through
Right.
or how this idea came through.
Sure. So, who is Second Careers for? It is for anyone that wants to extend, pivot, or restart their career. Right? You might be retired already, close to retiring, or in your 40s, wanting to uh, do more of what you're doing. And that's
Yeah.
the extend use case. Pivot to a completely different field, which means it's not just applying for jobs, but you're going to take a scenic detour through training programs and networking events and talking to others who've made such a transition. Perhaps go on a Jagriti Yatra to explore India so that you can join the social sector. Any of these
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, are required if you're going to move to a completely new field, particularly as a senior person, not starting at the bottom, but as a lateral entrant to a new sector. And restart is for anyone that's not had the good fortune of, or has had the good fortune of taking good breaks, right? Not been at the treadmill non-stop, but now you have gaps in your resume that are starting to give you some headwinds. You need some support in getting back on the track. From an employer's perspective, it is for any progressive employer that will first principles evaluate and recognize and reward the capabilities that people bring without being bookish about selection. Right? Not just look for boxes to tick, but truly appreciate people for who they are uh, and see their experience, their age, their wisdom as their superpower. Leverage that to achieve business results. Uh, in our early days of exploring this space, we saw enough evidence of unmet demand on both sides. So professionals didn't want to look for a needle in a haystack called LinkedIn or all the prominent job boards, because there
Yeah.
you don't know who has a negative bias for you because of your age and experience. It's slim pickings when it comes to mainstream hiring platforms having opportunities tailored for your needs, including the needs for fractional work. Right? You don't want to be hustling alongside young people or competing for the same jobs 70, 90 hours a week. You want to be leveraged for the knowledge work that you're capable of doing very uniquely in your age bracket. Uh, so there was a need for a specialized platform. It was exactly the same on the employer side. So in the first 3 months of us going live, we had over 100 employers come to the platform. About a third of them were organizations that were looking for professionals with
Ouch. Maybe a power cut.
Right.
Yeah, it seems like. But yeah, Shanti, do you want to continue?
Yeah, no, I think we were very encouraged by the number of companies that registered with us in the early days, and about 70 odd jobs got posted. So it's not a small number. Right? It was an experiment. It made us just even more determined to go full fledged and open it up for a subscription model starting January. To your question about what can people find on Second Careers, uh, a professional comes in looking, of course, to fulfill their aspiration and perhaps landing a job or a gig, but that's not all. So there are two other very important components and features of Second Careers that I'd like to talk about. One is that the path to pivoting or restarting is not straightforward. You've taken a break, you're outdated in terms of perhaps the ways of working. Even if it's not knowledge, it's the ways of working have changed. So we're actually a platform that provides learning opportunities, and we do this through providing some of the learning options ourselves, but also by bringing in partners in various fields. So everything, partner could be anyone who helps you to change your mindset, to understand yourself better, to help you develop newer technological skills to adapt to the environment around you. So learning is a very core feature of the platform for professionals. The second feature that we offer is a community, because for us nothing is better than self help and helping each other through networks, right? And so in fact, very recently we've launched the community on our platform. It's called 2C Exchange, and it provides opportunities for people to dialogue as much amongst themselves as with the founders and with the partners. So those are two very core features, Gopal, for the professionals.
Wonderful. And for people who are listening about it now, and also who will listen to this in the future, do sign up as you deem fit in terms of finding good learning opportunities, as well as perhaps also looking at what's available in the platform. And please keep the questions coming in, because it's going to be interesting to hear them. And I see some really interesting questions already here. Emmanuel asks, how do I know I'm in the right career? It's an existential question for a lot of people. Anyone wants to take that? Sushma?
I'm happy to do that as somebody who has moved jobs whenever she was not happy. Going into a job, you might think that's the perfect one for you. Well, once you're in it, or once you think you've mastered it. So, happiness is a state of mind which I think constantly shifts, right? If you have an explorer mindset, right, you will probably want to try many things. If you have a stability mindset, right, you will find happiness regardless of whether the job in itself is satisfying to you in one way, shape, or form. Sorry, Emmanuel, I'm giving you a very philosophical answer. This is also my very practically lived answer. So,
Correct.
so don't strive for perfection. Strive for what are you contributing? Does that make you feel good? Are the people you're working with somebody that you enjoy working with? Is the culture something that you can identify yourself with? And at the end of the day, can you come up with, very motivating learning anecdotes for your children or your grandchildren? I think if you were to sort of encapsulate all of that, I think that's happiness. I can speak for myself. Okay. I am extraordinarily happy today. I don't regret not sitting and doing something. Okay. I'm very happy with the portfolio of things that I'm doing because there's a little bit of me that gets satisfied by doing the various elements of the portfolio. So I would say a portfolio could be the right answer in how work is going to be defined in the future, is largely going to be flex as opposed to full time. That gives you the opportunity to try multiple things, fit all of them within your portfolio. I don't know if you agree with me, but those are my thoughts, Emmanuel.
We'll wait for him to comment on this and as he listens to it. But I have a slightly something to add on that. I think we're talking about times when people are redefining their definitions of career itself.
Yep.
For the longest period of time, we thought that career is equal to job, and
Yep.
job identity is all about that, right? And trust me, you will find a lot of people still thinking that the roles, the titles, the organizational brands that they work for is all about is that's about it, right? When that's their career. We're also talking about times when there is you brought in a very beautiful term called portfolio careers, and we've had enough and more conversations on this podcast about that in the past as well. Where can you make a can you monetize your hobby if you have to? Like if you're a good singer, if you're a good poet, if you're a good guitarist, um, is there a I mean not trying to make that as the alternate profession, but could be one of the professions that you could probably use to monetize. And is there a way that you could probably start thinking about that? The challenge lies in not having the right kind of exposure. And I would also take a lot of blame to the generation of people that we belong to at this stage, where we haven't really exposed ourselves to multiplicity of skills. We may have gotten some basic foundational skills on, let's say, a singing or a tabla or a music here and there, but that's about it. So now, if someone has to find what next or what else, it's daunting. It doesn't come naturally to them from a career standpoint. What are your views? And if you have any thoughts on that, would love to hear your perspectives. Anyone could go on this one.
Yeah.
Shanti?
Go ahead, Sudha. Okay, thank you, Gopal. I actually had the good fortune of being pushed a little bit in my growing up years to trying multiple things. And by nature, I also wanted to try many things because I wanted a legitimate reason to skip class. So I signed up for sports, music, everything. And so that multiplicity of skills that you talked about, it actually has come into use at multiple junctures in my life. And I just thought I'd share that a little bit. It's sort of related to your question. So I found myself in the US spouse trailing for a few years. And I had a job, but it was not the job that I wanted to. So the question is, am I in the right career? I knew I was not in the right career, but I needed it because I needed that career or the job to tick a few boxes. I needed to spend 8 hours a day. I needed to get some financial independence. All of those things were there. But there was this longing to do something more than just that. And the opportunity presented itself in the form of a small cricket club being established in our neighborhood for largely the South Asian kids to go and play cricket, and I had played cricket for the university and the state. So I actually turned my hobby of having played cricket at one time to going and coaching a bunch of kids, boys actually, to play cricket in the neighborhood. Right. So I did that a long time ago, and being from a traditional South Indian family, I'm trained in music. Few months ago, I just started music classes for adults in my neighborhood. So I've actually used those multiple skills, and so they do help tick one of those boxes. So to the question that Emmanuel asked, right, am I in the right career? I think I'd rather say the question to ask yourself is, am I happy with what I'm doing with my time, right? And is it helping me to achieve 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things that I'm looking for in life? It could be money, it could be satisfaction, it could be putting my skills to use, any of those. So that's sort of my answer, Gopal. Long-winded but personal experience. Yeah.
Can
No,
I
thank
add
you.
to
Thank
that?
you.
Can I add to
Yes.
that,
Yes.
Gopal?
Yes.
So inherent in this is a things that you would do to challenge yourself. Okay. For me, that was, hey, can I leave this whole IT industry where, I got to a reason, I got to be the CEO of a mid-sized organization. And I could have aspired to be sitting on top of a multi-billion-dollar organization. That would have been a traditional path. For
Correct.
me, the way to challenge myself was, can I take everything that I have learned and make a mark in something completely different? And to me, that was venture capital. So I think that element of challenging yourself has to be inherent if you are chasing a second career. The second thing is, there are many things that you want to do that give you satisfaction. Okay. I have always enjoyed teaching people. And early on in my career, my career choices were to become a doctor, a teacher. Very, very early, it was to be a flight attendant. Okay. But so the key is, if you distill all of this, there are elements of mentorship, coaching. So I said there'll be a part of my life when I will give to people where I don't expect a penny for it in cash or kind. So I spend an enormous amount of my time in building women entrepreneurs through organizations like TIE, right? And the third is, I've been a builder. So science experiments. I have a scientific background, whether it's physics experiments or chemistry. So that experimentation bent of mine. And the older I got, I said, man, I should give yen to my experimentation. And to a large extent, second careers is a child of that.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to just build on what you just said, Sushma, and this is a very interesting perspective that Abhijit Bhaduri shared, and he's written about that in his book Careers 3.0 as well, of having a VC mindset to your career. If you think about a VC, he or she typically gets into exploring multiple ideas with not really comfort of whether this will work or not. So maybe 10 ideas at one go, and maybe one idea is worth $1 million and the other could be worth nothing. But being comfortable with that thought, right? And that's where he came from, and he explained that beautifully when I met him as well. What are your thoughts? Now you're a VC yourself. How do you see that? How has being VC helped you in your career? If you can share that as well.
So this is something Abhijit and I have talked about, and taking a portfolio look at your career. So to the extent you're building a portfolio, yes, there is similarity between how a VC world operates and how A VC typically looks at optimal and maximization. Okay. Because at the end of the day, a venture capitalist plays on other people's money. Okay. So you are beholden to do everything to stick to a particular thesis. Okay. So VCs are not gun-toting cowboys out here trying to do anything that they want, much as that might be the kind of notion that might be prevalent. But the
Yeah.
key here is, how do you, in diversity, how do you optimize? How do you maximize a return?
Sure.
The analogy to an individual portfolio is basically maximizing or enhancing the satisfaction quotient. Could be monetary, it could be satisfaction, it could be giving, could be a combination of the lot. So to
Yeah.
that extent, yes, but there are many differences as well. Okay. Um, the monetary element that is so prevalent in a venture capitalist need not be so in an individual career portfolio. You talked about dream, dare, do. Okay.
Yes.
That was your opening tagline.
Yeah.
To me, the portfolio for an individual is something that enables you to dream, the enables you to dare, and enables you to do.
Very well said. Very well said. Thank you so much, Sushma. I'm going to take a couple of questions that have come out here. And I think, Sudha, this one is for you. Sudipto Saha asks, thank you, Sudha, for mentioning about fractional roles. How do you see the interest with the startups, especially those in the growth stage?
Yeah, in many ways, in fact. Startups that cannot afford a full time CXO have actively scouted for fractional CXOs until such time that they can truly absorb the inputs of someone very senior, that has run large businesses, large companies. All they need is a couple of days a week. That's kind
Yeah.
of been the magic sweet spot for both demand and supply. But beyond that, there are other formats of engagement, including seeking out experts for short bursts of advisory input, for doing market research. Right? I'm building a product for enterprises, for people and culture. I want to speak with 30 CHROs. Right? You should absolutely come to the 2ndCareers platform for that. We're working with one of the noted B schools in the country and their fintech accelerator to enable a similar interaction where their cohort of startups get not just strategic input and advice, but more user feedback from people that have been in those roles and know the industry and sector very deeply. There's also, of course, a very large number of people who have been in the middle levels of their career who could come in even full time, right? So it's a wide spectrum of opportunities to engage with someone senior. That said, I do want to let Sudipta know that fractional is still a very evolving space in this country. If you look at the US, fractional has always been the case, right? Most people have worked 3 jobs. Most companies have paid by the hour or paid by
Yes.
the day in terms of carving out a chunk of your time in which they want to engage you, and the discipline from both parties in terms of sticking to that contract is high. In India, it is still evolving. Right? You may say 2 days a week, but if your week itself is 90 hours, what is 2 days? It could very easily, fill up all your waking time.
Yeah.
And it's not easy to be multitasking as well. Uh, if you're going to be working with 3 different startups, you could spread yourself very thin. Right? So
Yeah.
some of the cultural as well as just the learning curve of being in this format is something we're all in that
Yeah.
situation and learning together. It is an evolving space, but an inevitable space, right? It's definitely happening, and early adopters of this format, those carving out their portfolio careers, will definitely have an edge. And I would encourage Sudipto to, you know, engage
Yeah.
further and see if that's for him.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. Another question from Murli. I would say second careers equal to careers that are second to none, but actually facilitate people to pursue what they always wanted to do rather than just doing a mere job for making a living. It is rediscovering oneself to exploit their potential and go all out. Comments, Sudha, Shanti, Sushma. Anyone? Shanti, do you want to take this one?
No, I think I will agree that it's about rediscovering oneself and seeing what's the potential you have, and that's why our tagline is infinite possibilities. Right? So discover
Yes.
yourself to find what possibilities you can get to and what will make you happy. So yeah, I agree with the comment.
So,
Sure.
Murli, I completely agree with the comment, but I do want to point something out. Okay. This bit about exploring oneself is easier said than done. A lot of people don't know where to begin. A lot of people do not have necessarily the clarity of what they would like to do. And which is one of the reasons why at Second Careers, we are putting a lot of emphasis on the community, saying, hey, learn from peers, look around and seeing what other people are doing. That's the
Yeah.
reason why we are putting tremendous amount of emphasis on learning. Okay, every time. So I'll tell you this: from the time I stepped down from being CEO of IDC Infotech to the time today, every year I take at least 3 to 4 training programs. I teach myself. Because in every training program, of course, I'm very cheap and frugal. I do a lot of this on but from the best of universities.
Sure.
And the key is to keep adding knowledge. How much you retain is not important because the older you get, you'll probably retain less. But the key is in every program, if you can discover a nugget about yourself, I think that's worth its weight in gold. And the
Yeah.
last thing that we are doing to facilitate this is coming up with a series of assessments and very tailored assessments. So, we are looking at what's out there, and we've also brought on 2 assessment experts who are helping us build tools that it'll help you explore and exploit whatever talent that you may have.
Wonderful. And that kind of takes me to the question that I had about if you really look at leadership today, and when I say leadership, most of these 50 are all in some form of leadership positions. It could be a director level, it could be a CXO level. And often it comes at a cost of being exhausted, fatigued. And I'll say the reason for that is multifold. One, you're living through times which are tiring, especially in a country like India where you have to travel to work and you have to spend so much time during in traffic and all of that. You're also depending on how your family situation is, you're either taking care of your parents who are older, who have needs which require attention, so your mental space is already split between that. You also have kids whose responsibilities you have for, depending on what age they are, school, exams, homeworks, etc. Add all that, you also have your core job, 9 to 5, so called 9 to 9 maybe, where you have to do a lot of work, not just for yourself but for also you're responsible for your teams. One of the themes that has come out loud and clear is lack of self-awareness, which perhaps also leads to career decisions or perhaps also career sabotaging decisions that people take. What are your views on that? I mean, do you see that happening quite a lot? And is there a geographical angle to this as well?
Let me
No,
go
I
on
don't
that.
think. Okay, Sudha, carry on.
Yeah. It's a question I think we should all respond, because we've all been through these stages of life ourselves, or see that in large numbers in the community that has joined second careers. The self awareness and the lack of it is something very central to this experience of your 40s and 50s. Often not realizing that you already have more degrees of freedom than you realize,
Mm,
and you're not actively minimizing your regret. Right?
wow.
I'll speak to the large group of people that have been curious about the social sector but have not taken that plunge. You do not
Yeah.
realize that you're actually more sorted financially than you think you are. Uh, Additional money coming from a big paycheck is not giving you joy.
Mm,
You are actually getting, diminishing returns on more bonuses, more promotions. And in the process, procrastinating something that can give you great joy, not realizing that what you get from your job is money plus the sense of purpose, the joy of working with good people, right? And you kind of push that out too long, and then find out that now you're no longer mentally agile to learn a new space, etc.
correct.
Uh, it also comes from not being able to kick off the peer group comparisons and societal pressures. You could be working a part time role, a fractional role. It need not just be moves to the social sector, it could also be prorating your salary doing your core job, uh, and making it easier on yourself, right? Save yourself the time to take care of elders or kids or whatever else that's a social requirement, because you're not aware of not just bad career choices but bad life choices, right? And are underestimating the social burden of childcare, elder care, etc. In a world that only measures you by your net worth and not your overall worth as a person, being a contributing member of society. And even if
Yeah.
you do not have children or elders, you do have responsibilities to your community, to your city, being, taking up citizen responsibilities. All of that takes a back seat because we live in a society that has not sufficiently valued it. It is wrong to expect that society will change, that you will get
Mm,
brownie points for being, a good
so
parent,
true.
or
So
recycling your waste or whatever else. I think it starts with us as individuals. Right? Finally, the whole becomes the summation of the parts. I think our generation is uniquely positioned to orchestrate that shift. Younger people are already doing that, right? They're taking gap
mm,
years, traveling the world, doing fun things, not just being a corporate uh, treadmill rider. But our generation is uniquely positioned to role model that as well.
sure. Sushma?
No, I think Sudha was absolutely spot on and her usual eloquent self. Um, my only thing is it's very easy for people to sit back and say, she can do it, she has help. She can do it, she doesn't have kids. He can do it because he is endowed with a lot of things. You can come up with 20,000 reasons why others are able to do things that you're not able to. And all I would tell you is this: we've all been through very similar struggles. All three of us come from very humble backgrounds, okay? And we've gone out and built things. And there is only one key determinant of what makes you do that. And that is discipline. Okay? Actually, I would say clarity and discipline. You've got to keep pushing yourself to be clearer. What the hell do I want in life? Right? And the discipline. Even today, I do yoga 3 times a week. I walk 3 miles a day, at least. Right? These are things that you have to do while juggling being a housewife and a venture capitalist and a co-founder of 2ndCareers. And I still sleep 6 to 7 hours. So I think discipline says it all. And you have to master discipline.
Shanthi, any thoughts from you?
Yeah. No, I just wanted to say that your question was around self-discovery. And for me, it's actually a very uncomfortable process, right? Because you go into yourself. And for me, the aha moment in self-discovery is realizing that that many a times you're doing things for the outside world and not for something that might be most intrinsic to your happiness and health.
Yeah.
So titles are a classic example. Can I fly business class or economy? That matters a lot, right? To whom actually, right? But if you're taking a red eye and flying business class, does it actually help you? I think so. For me, self-discovery is actually about being true to yourself, and sometimes you might conclude that the external view of you matters. And so you will take that red eye but business class. That might matter to you, and it's okay. You'll make peace with that, which means that you're, willing to make your life constantly, rushing into things, rushing out of things, 12 hours, 12-hour days, 14-hour days. If that gives you the high, so be it. But you really need to find out what is it that matters most to you, and that takes courage.
And it's an evolution. I mean, what may have worked for one at one point of time in his or her life may not be relevant given a lot of changes that may happen in their lives as well. So
I also think that, sorry to cut you off, Gopal.
No, I was
just
saying
want to
it
say
would
that.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that, self-discovery is great, but there's also the reality of a situation.
Yeah.
Sometimes we just may have to do what we are doing and continue to do that till we can, till we are ready to make that compromise and step off. And say, okay, I'm done. This much money is enough. I want to do something that's more meaningful. So.
Correct. I want to shift focus to a slight bit of global perspectives on this one now. There's a lot changing around us, and like it or not, it may be discomforting as well. Be it AI, be it geopolitics, be it whatever happened in the last 3-4 months with regards to our neighbors. And as things are shifting, we may call it VUCA, we may call it Bani, we may call it Rapt, we may call it whatever names that people can come up with. There may be a new term by the end of this podcast, perhaps. But what should two parties most important for this conversation today? One, what should individuals do in a situation like this to take care of their career well-being? And two, what should organizations do to be able to make sure that they are able to, if not really soften the, I would say, soften the situation, but perhaps at least take mindful decisions about whatever is happening and the impact that it may have.
Let me start with giving one thing that organizations can certainly do. Even organizations don't know how fast change is going to hit them and what's going to affect them. I think investing in people and allowing them to learn and try new things within the organization is one thing that organizations can encourage.
Sure. Sushma, Sudha.
Sudha?
So let me pick up what individuals can do. And I would say two things. One is conserve your calories, right? Don't worry about things that are not in your control or outrage about things that you have nothing to contribute to from a solution space, right? I think the world that we live in is very different from the world of 30 years ago, in that now we are affected by hyperlocal happenings across the world, right? This
Yes.
was not the case 30 years ago, and hence our calories are getting expended in ways which really are a big detractor from your own goal and purpose. So one is conserve your calories. The other is to constantly be in the present moment, reinventing yourself, learning, not stay stuck in the past or be afraid of the future. Right? Uh, to have a lifestyle of agility, to Sushma's comment on taking walks, also listening to podcasts, reading blogs, staying current, taking up a short term course, right? Both physical and mental agility is something we should no longer take as optional or nice to do. We are all going to live to our 80s and 90s in relatively better health than our parents did. Uh,
Yeah.
we do not have their social security, pensions, and government jobs for the most part, right?
Yeah.
And hence will need perhaps to fractional roles instead of full-time jobs well into our 70s. And that
Yeah.
requires staying current without worrying
Yeah.
about the future or getting stuck in the past.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And that kind of brings a question that Emmanuel has. I'm in my 20s and I really want to build generational wealth. What mistakes should I avoid? And maybe Sushma, you can take this one.
Emmanuel, you're asking right questions. Um, and I'm glad that you're talking about it in terms of generational wealth, which means I am imputing that you're willing to do it over time, that you're not wanting to snap your fingers. So the concept of generational wealth building, and I might be conjecturing a lot from those words, but what it's telling me is you are looking for systematic ways to be able to do that. And I think you're asking this question right early in life. So if you can do this in the 20s, I have no doubt that you will end up doing that. But I will ask you to pause and think about one thing. What would you give up to build
Mm.
this generational wealth? And that's a pivotal question that'll give you your answer. I'm not going to spell it out for you. Okay. Sudha laid out various things. What at what cost is the question I want you to think about. I also want you to think about the how. You could go, you're in your 20s, and I have no idea of what your specialization is. You or your bent of mind is. Okay. You may be somebody who can sit on Wall Street, and that comes with its own set of perks. You could be somebody who's very entrepreneurial. I would add my third dimension, which is risk tolerance. Saying, what would you like to trade off from a risk reward perspective? So these are my three dimensions with which I want you to answer your own question. Hope that's been helpful.
You know, wonderfully said, Sushma. What are you willing to give or give up is a very powerful thing. We often don't think too much about that, given our mental definitions of what success means. And success could mean many things for many people, but typically, what I've seen as success could mean that I need to have everything at one go and now. We're talking about deliveries in 10 minutes. The grocery deliveries in 10 minutes in India, which perhaps is also a reflection of how we have caught on to the instant thing these days, right? Maybe a reflection for all of us to think through and see what does success really mean for each one of us. But let me ask you this. What does success mean for secondcareers.com? Sudha, do you want to go first?
So success, of course, in our business plan is to be the go-to platform for both employers and professionals looking for each other. Right? But under the hood, it is also a high professional centricity to say, can we help each person on the platform find what they're looking for? And it may not just be jobs; it could just be the enriching interactions that comes with the peer group, the motivation and inspiration from seeing others' journeys. Right? All of that is hugely central to this mission that we have set out on. Beyond our direct work, there is a huge component of ending ageism and probably changing the way the world works, recognizing each person for their potential and helping them to thrive. Age no bar, right? And similar to age, I think we'll also pick up other underserved segments, returning moms, sports people who retire early or forced to retire early, scientists who retire late but have just so much to give to society through their specialization. Right?
Yeah.
Each of these segments has something to offer to country and humanity, and I think to be agents of that would give us immense joy and pleasure.
Wonderful. Shanthi?
If we can turn second careers into a movement, a powerful movement to remove biases and make this world of infinite possibilities available to anyone who wants to work, who is willing to repurpose themselves, who wants to stay relevant. I think that's the vision and mission for second careers.
Lovely. Sushma?
To me, it's multiple dimensions. At a philosophical level, I would like second careers to outlast any one of us in this platform today. Okay. I would also like philosophically employers, if I can shift a bunch of employers to accept that a work team can be a set of heterogeneous, global, multi-generational work team. That would give me enormous amount of delight. I also want it to be a very successful organization. When I said I wanted to outlast us, it has to be something that checks the definition of a going and growing concern. Right? And lastly, for me, it's about creating opportunities for people. It's no different from if I were to build any other organization. To build a leadership team, a group of people who will share in the risks and the rewards as we continue to grow. So there is a wealth distribution angle to it as well for me.
Wonderful. We are way beyond our time. I would like to definitely wrap this up, but without really asking you all this question of what advice would you give people who are listening into this? Each one of you, if you could share your thoughts, that would be wonderful. Shanthi, do you want to start?
Yeah, I think it's actually a very tough question to end the conversation with, because there's so many thoughts going through my
Yes.
head right now. But I just say that the for all of us to think that our journey has just begun towards the destination is a good point of view to have, because there's so much more to uncover, and we can have fun doing that if we are just deliberate about it.
Sudha?
I would say don't try to do it alone. I think
Mm.
find a supportive peer group, talk to people that have done this, build conviction in your own ability to navigate a shift, and then kind of do it. Gopal, I would also, once Sushma's done with hers, like you to share what your second career shift, becoming a podcaster, has been like. So let's end on that note as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
I will probably take a line from Nike and say, just do it. Okay. Dream, dare, do. I love those three
Thank
words.
you. Lovely, lovely. So yeah, Sudha, to answer your question, um, I wouldn't say I'm a podcaster. I would say I am a portfolio careerist in many ways,
Nice.
because for me, podcasting is one of the ways of giving back to the community through bringing in stories of people who have been there and done that. And that's exactly what we try to do today. But I get enormous amount of joy in being able to, let's say, coach someone, let's say, give a leadership talk in an organization or a workshop in an organization. I get immense joy when I'm teaching in a business school. And all of that put together, of course, is, and write, of course, I write daily on LinkedIn. So writing also gives me immense joy. Uh, so it's combination of all of that put together with the freedom that you get of doing it all by yourself, along with maybe few like-minded people that you're part of. I think that's what gives me, and that's my second career, if I can say that. So that's where things are going on right now.
How inspiring. Thanks for
Yeah.
sharing.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I do always have a rapid fire, so I want to end the show with that. Um, One word that defines a great second career. So that's for you.
Minimizing regret is what I would have said, but I would just say joyous, since it's one.
Joyous. Okay. Uh, Sushma, the most overlooked skill professionals over 45 bring to the table.
Maturity.
Lovely. One outdated hiring belief that companies should drop today. And that's for you, Shanti.
Everything is around education and certificates.
Ah, that's true. And perhaps more so digital certifications these days. And this one is for all of you, your personal role model for reinvention. Sudha,
Arun
you want to go?
Myra.
All right. Sushma?
I'm thinking about it.
Okay. Shanti?
Dinesh Karthik.
Oh, lovely.
Oh, lovely.
Wonderful.
To me, it's not an individual, it's a profession, an actor.
Very well said. Very well said. And in fact, I had Mr. Raja Krishnamurthy come in as a guest on my first season. If you haven't watched that episode, you should definitely watch and listen to his perspective. I'd asked this question as to how does he maintain both professions equally well? And he says that's a choice that I've made of riding both the horses together.
Yeah.
And how he does it flawlessly. I think commendable is what I would say. One piece of advice you would give to your 40-year-old self, all of you.
I would say learn, relearn, de-learn, and do it very fast. Don't give up speed.
So that
I'm particularly proud of my 40-year-old self. I have no advice to give. I was 40 when I made the switch. I think it's one of
Yeah.
life's best decisions ever.
Yeah. Me too, at 42.
42.
Shanti?
For me, it's don't worry, you will find a way.
Wonderful, wonderful. With that, thank you very much, Sushma, Sudha, Shanti, for being on this show, sharing your life journeys, your perspectives, the importance of, second careers, the importance of careers as well. And I think as I close today's episode, I'm reminded of the truth that we don't really often say loud enough, that your story doesn't actually end at 45 or 40. It doesn't fade at 50. It doesn't have an expiry date. It actually bends, it reinvents, it begins again. 50 episodes in, I realized this podcast was never about building content for me. It was about holding space for stories exactly like these to come out that weren't always being told boldly enough. And across these conversations with the CEOs, the change makers, the quiet rebels, and everyday professionals, I've learned something very simple yet profound, that the most powerful shifts rarely make headlines. They happen in pauses, they happen in pivots, they happen in the late night moments when someone chooses courage over clarity. That's the bridge these conversations have always been about. Bridges between invisibility and voice, between doubt and courage, between weight of what was and the freedom of what can be. Shanti, Sushma, Sudha have shown us that the second career is not a fallback. It's a return to self, purpose, and to infinite possibilities, as Sudha shared. It's a proof that when one door closes, another isn't just waiting, it can be actually built. So if you're listening into this in your 40s or 50s, wondering whether your time has passed, hear this. You're not done yet. You're not past your peak. You're standing at the edge of your most powerful act yet. Because future won't be shaped by the youngest or the fastest. It will be shaped by those who know how to begin with grace, with grit, with courage. To every leader who showed up raw and unpolished, to every professional who admitted that they didn't have it all figured out, to everyone who reminded me and us that careers are not ladders, but living, breathing stories, you have been the heartbeat of this journey. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart to be part of this journey with me. And to Shanti, Sushma, Sudha, thank you for bringing this milestone to life with clarity, conviction, and hope. Because second careers are not an afterthought. They are proof of what we can choose again. And sometimes the most powerful chapter is the one we step into when the world assumes that we are done. So here's to 50 episodes, the next 50 episodes, and many more. May we keep telling stories to people that make people see themselves again. May we keep reminding the world that no act is too late and no voice is too quiet to change the future. Until next time, stay curious, stay open, stay shifting. 50 episodes down, the river flows on. Thank you so much.
You until our next milestone that both of us cross, and hopefully we
Yes,
can be back on your show. Gopal, thank you very
absolutely.
much.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Gopal.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.